everybody, welcome. My name is Misty Mitchell, and I am the Director of Conservation Programs for the Johnny Morris Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium. And we have an amazing next half an hour that we're going to spend with you, and we're excited to have you. Make sure you add your comments to our chat, and that way you can get questions answered. And what's super cool is it is Wednesday afternoon, almost dinner time where I'm at, but we have a super cool special guest, Dr. Ryan, and she's coming all the way from Australia, and it's actually Thursday morning breakfast time there. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're excited to have you. We're going to get started. And first of all, I want to tell you a little about Wonders of Wildlife. Wonders of Wildlife is an aquarium and museum in Springfield, Missouri. And if you've never been to Wonders of Wildlife, it is an amazing location. We're excited to be here. We're excited to talk about it. And I'm going to introduce my special guest that's going to help me throughout the time, Mary Clark. Mary Clark is the Chief Executive Officer of Agents of Discovery. Hey, Mary, how are you?
Hey, Misty, good. I am great. So excited to be here.
Excited to have you.
Oh, I've never had a meeting that's 2 days at once.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that we're going to be in morning time on Thursday and dinner time on Wednesday. So yeah. Exciting stuff here.
Yeah, well, endangered species are everywhere.
Yes, and so today we are talking about endangered species. And if you notice, we've got Agent Duck-billed Platypus with us. And the reason that we have him is because we are celebrating endangered species on Friday, May 15th. And duck-billed platypuses are actually considered near threatened, which means their populations are declining. They're not endangered yet, but they definitely need to be considered and they need to be helped. And they're a really cool species. And when we talk to Dr. Ryan, maybe she can tell us a little bit more about duck-billed platypuses today. So we're excited to have them. So Agents of Discovery is a really cool app, and we're excited to be working with us. Can you tell us about the app?
Absolutely. Agents of Discovery allows players to go on sleuth missions where they can unlock challenges about wildlife, about all the amazing things that you find at Wonders of Wildlife. But sadly, you're closed now, right, Misty, for the pandemic. So this is helping bring all the great treasures at Wonders of Wildlife out into the homes of learners across the country. And so that's what it's about, just like kind of like Pokemon Go, but for conservation education.
Oh, and that's awesome. And Pokemon Go, what a craze it was. It actually got a lot of people who didn't experience the outdoors, it got them outside. And what's really cool about mission conservation that we're doing with Agents of Discovery is we're taking that Pokemon Go augmented reality and we're getting people back outside, but we're getting to learn about conservation. And I think that's the number one thing, is getting people back outside, but also learning through that. So we're excited about that. Yes, as you mentioned, Wonders of Wildlife is currently closed. And let's take a look at our website and we can talk about Wonders of Wildlife. So Wonders of Wildlife is an aquarium in Springfield, Missouri, and it's a pretty amazing place. We have 350,000 square feet of exhibits, and we take you all over the world, from our jellyfish to our elephants in the African savannas, all the way to our mangroves, and you get to see piranhas and octopus. It is so cool. We have 35,000 live animals and exhibits all throughout. And if you ever have an opportunity to come see us, please make sure you do that. Check us out in Springfield, Missouri. And as right now, we are closed. Like everybody, a lot of other zoos and aquariums across the country, due to the pandemic, we are closed for the safety of our guests and our animals and our team members. But as soon as we're able to open, we'll make sure we post that on our social media and our website at wondersofwildlife.org. But if you're in the area, you can make it down to Dogwood Canyon Nature Park, which is down in Lampe, Missouri, which is just south of Springfield, where we have a 14,000 acre nature park, which is amazing to see. So today, even though you can't come to Wonders of Wildlife, Mary, we're going to be talking about mission conservation, which is super cool. We're excited to be having mission conservation with us. So mission conservation, what is that? So this is what we're doing. We're going to bring conservation to your home. Wherever you are, we're going to be able to allow you to play this augmented reality Pokemon game, like a digital scavenger hunt too. That'd be another way you could describe it. Is you will go in on a cell phone, you will download the app on a Google Play or the App Store. And then from there, you're going to pick a mission. And as you can see, we have a schedule of missions. You've got a habitat mission, a tree mission, a bird, and then this week, endangered species. And as I said, endangered species, we're celebrating it and the importance of protecting these animals. We need to know how important wildlife conservation and the restoration and efforts related to endangered animals around the world, and it's super cool. So what you do is you download the app, you pick the mission, and then you get to go in and you play it. We have 2 learning levels, which is emerging learner, which is ages K through 4th grade. And then we also have an advanced learner. So for us adults who want to have fun, guess what? We got you covered. Not just the kids get to participate this time, we get to have everybody participate. And so you can go in, you can play, and then to top it all off, we've got an activity guide that you can click on and have extra activities for your kids to do at home. So we've got artwork. We talk about an endangered species here in the United States. We talk about all different things and letting you do research on your own. It's a lot of fun. So the cool thing about this engages the whole entire family, which I love that, Mary, the fact that everybody gets involved.
Yeah. And I think the fact that people have to explore their backyard to find the triggers is really great. I mean, it's online learning, but it's moving to learn. And that movement piece right now, we all need to be getting enough exercise during the day. It's really important.
Yeah, Mary's right on that. So what you'll do is once you download it, you print what we call image triggers. And using image recognition, you can print these, use them every single week for every mission we do, and you get new games and new activities to participate in. So you put these, you can hide them in the backyard, you can hide them around the house if it's raining outside. So we've got the opportunity for you to really create some fun and actually even allow maybe the older brothers and sisters to hide them for the younger ones. So you can do a lot of things with the mission conservation. So we're excited that, and what's super cool today, not only are we going to meet somebody from Australia and talk about the endangered species in Australia, is we're actually going to demo one of the activities in our Emerging Learner Endangered Species program. So are you excited to see that? I think it's pretty cool to be able to watch what we do. So I'm going to turn it over to Kendra, and she is going to demo a mission for you.
Hey everybody, Kendra here. I'm with Agents of Discovery. I work with Mary. We are going to take a look today at the Endangered Species Emerging Learner mission. So right now I have the Agents of Discovery app pulled up on my phone, and I'm going to click on missions here. Okay, we're going to wait for it to load. And I'm just going to go ahead and search endangered species because I know that's what it's called. Okay, and you'll see this endangered species mission, the Emerging Learner, already has the play button ready to go. So that means I've already downloaded it. So I'm just going to hit play. And here we see our beautiful loading screen. Okay, so Agent Platypus is here to welcome me to the game. And he says, welcome agent, today you'll be learning about endangered species around the world and how you can help them. Are you ready? Let's go. So I'm going to tap to continue. And I'm going to select one of these challenge markers here. So I'm selecting this one. Okay, be on the lookout for a praying mantis, says Agent Platypus. So what you're seeing right now, this is my desk, my computer. And over here, I have pulled up the image triggers. Now, as Mary mentioned, you can print these off and put them around your backyard. And that's a great way to make it a scavenger hunt for players. So nice work, I found the praying mantis. And we're just gonna wait for it to load the challenge now. Okay, agent brief. So here we're gonna get a little bit of information about the Endangered Species Act. So I get the chance to learn about that. And I'm going to hit close. How can you help endangered species? It asks me. So I'm gonna hide this. And this is my at-home office. Like a lot of people, I'm working at home. Nothing is one of the answers. I don't think that's probably one of the right ones. take a look around. I can research the species in the area. I can buy sustainable products. I can plant for wildlife. And I can recycle, and it says there's one more. I can visit wildlife areas. Great. So congratulations, great job, agent. It's telling me that I've earned 3 bees. So that's kind of our reward system here. I'm going to hit close, and you'll see the bees come out, and I've completed the challenge. So that's just one example of the kinds of challenges that you can play as part of mission conservation. We have lots more using augmented reality and just asking players to provide some fun information about endangered species. So yeah, I think that's everything from my end. I'm going to turn it back over to Misty and Mary.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kendra. And if you notice, you got a check mark saying you've completed that. And if you complete all 10 of the challenges in that mission, you get a reward after that, which makes it super cool. So you're going to earn a badge. And so Agent Platypus badge. And so you can collect all of these badges. So every single mission that you do every week, you get a new badge. And who doesn't love badges? We love to collect these things. We love digital gaming. We can level up and we add more bees. But another cool thing, if we can bring up the AR filter, we can show you another reward that you get when you play Agents of Discovery Mission Conservation. While Kendra is bringing that up, so let's talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so here it is right here. Kendra's got it for us. So this week with Agent Duck-billed Platypus, when you finish your entire mission and you've collected all of your bees and you've got all your challenges done, you get to have a Snapchat filter that you can share with your friends. You can become a duck-billed platypus. Pretty cool. And he tells you to keep on exploring. And every single week we have a new one of these. Mary, these are awesome. Kids love to share these.
Kids love the AR filters. They are super fun. Yeah, you can share them with your friends. There's a different themed one every week, depending what the avatar of the week is. So this is the duck-billed platypus.
Yeah, so super cool. We want to make sure, and this is so easy to do, okay? It's just getting a cell phone, getting that smartphone, downloading the app, and then going to wondersofwildlife.org/missions, where you can get the image triggers, you print those off, and then you're ready to play. The cool thing about this is every single week you use the same triggers, so you don't have to go back and reprint them. You've got them and you can use them every week. So every week
I think that's what people find so amazing. We get asked that all the time. Wow, I can use these same triggers and they give me a different mission every week. I mean, that's really exciting.
I think it is too. And the one thing that we've seen, it's taking kids about 20 to 25 minutes to play the mission, which is a pretty decent amount of time to keep kids engaged. And kids, they understand technology. You know, sometimes we as adults are always like frustrated maybe with technology, but I can tell you kids will grab onto this. And the fact that you got to see Kendra's home office, got to see her kitchen, they get to spin around in wherever they are, whether they're in the backyard and they're trying to find the answers to the endangered species, or if maybe they're catching fish, because there's some missions that you get to catch fish, or you catch crabs, or you catch butterflies. So lots of really cool things.
And some of the kids, Missy, I've been looking at some of the feedback you're getting, have actually been finding real wildlife in their backyards as they're doing their mission.
Yeah, I remember that. When we did the Earth Day mission, we had some young kids who found a little snake, and their parents sent us pictures of the little boy. They'd caught a snake. So they had an educational moment, not only participating in the missions and watching the kids run around the backyard, but then finding wildlife. And I think that's so important. Right now, a lot of us can't get outdoors. A lot of us are at home and we are sheltered in a situation where we need to be for safety. But as kids can learn about conservation, when it is time to go outside and they get to get out in their nature areas, guess what? They're going to have such a sense of responsibility because they learned about, hey, you know what? I learned about endangered species, and I learned that I can research, or I can go to the wildlife areas near me, that I can actually make a difference. And I think that's what's important, is for kids to understand that, yes, you can make a difference with endangered species. So guess what? You know, I think it's time. I think it's time to go to Australia. What do you think? Mary, do you think it's time to go? Are you ready to go, Australia?
Absolutely. Let's
All
move
right.
on today.
I think we should head to Australia. So I am going to introduce Dr. Lisa Ryan. She's the Environmental Education Officer for Sunshine Coast Council, located in southeast corner of Queensland, Australia. Sunshine Coast is a stunning region that is extremely popular with tourists and encompasses one of Australia's 15 biodiversity hotspots within a range of species found nowhere else in the world. And I think that's super cool about Australia. It's got all of these really cool animals that aren't found anywhere else. I mean, look at ancient duck-billed platypus right there. Lisa's coming to us live from the Mary Carncross Scenic Reserve, and it is Thursday morning there. Hey, Lisa, Dr. Ryan, how are you?
G'day, Misty. G'day, Mary. G'day, everyone at home. How are you? It's lovely, really exciting to be here live from Mary Cairncross this morning. And I'd just like to welcome you to our reserve, and in the language of our traditional owners, the Jinnabara people. And so I'd just like to say yadi gadi. Welcome and acknowledge our traditional owners who have cared for this country for many tens of thousands of years before us. So as you can see, I'm sitting at the edge of the rainforest. I would have liked to have been actually out there, but unfortunately this was as far as our Wi-Fi connection enabled us to get. So with any luck, because it is quite early in the morning, you may see some of our amazing rainforest residents flutter, fly, hop, maybe even slither behind. So keep an eye out for them. You might be lucky enough to see something.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll be watching.
It would be. Tell me if we see something, because it's all behind me. So I guess many of people overseas know Australia for having a wide variety of really amazing species, and we're so thrilled that you picked the platypus to be your avatar for this week for Endangered Species Day. Some of you may not know that when scientists first discovered the platypus, when the very first species was sent back to England, not long after Australia became a colony, the scientists at in the British Museum thought it was a joke. They actually did not believe that such a species could exist. So it's a pretty amazing one. It's, looks like a beaver, I guess, with a bill of a duck and webbed feet, and it also lays eggs. So they actually thought that it was a hoax, that someone had stitched all of these different creatures together and sent it in. So so it's pretty amazing. Some of our other species that people obviously know lots about are, koalas, kangaroos, and people know that, but you probably don't realise that actually Australia, very sadly, has got the world's highest rate of extinction for mammals in the world, which is not such a great record. And I guess there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, habitat loss. I guess Australia, being a relatively newly colonised country, has been quite late to the scene. So we still have a lot of environment, but it's been, chopped down fairly quickly to make way for new houses and, that kind of stuff. So that's been a big issue for us. And also, we're really, really susceptible to climate change here as well. We're a pretty dry continent, and we're very susceptible to droughts, to bushfire, to cyclones, and of course bushfires. And many of your viewers will be aware that late last year we were in the grip of potentially the worst, most catastrophic bushfire that we may have ever experienced, and it burnt about 12.6 million hectares, which, to put in your context, is, I think, 50,000 square miles, which I gather is about the size of the state of New York or North Carolina. So it's a pretty big area, and it had a massive, devastating impact on our native animals. And scientists are still counting the numbers, but we estimate maybe up to 1 billion native animals died in the bushfire. And people all around the world were particularly concerned about our cute and cuddly species like the koala. And in fact, we had people from all around the world knitting little booties to protect our koalas who were rescued from getting infected, to protect their feet while they recovered in koala hospital. So it was really great to see so many people from around the world being interested in our own species and helping out. So so Mary asked me to give you a quick overview of the koala situation since the bushfires, because I gather that's something people are really interested in. So you might know already that koalas were a vulnerable species already. Sadly, they like to live in the same place that most of Australia likes to live, which is the eastern coast of Australia. And so they're very vulnerable to their habitat being cut down, but they're also really vulnerable to attacks from dogs. And unfortunately, they suffer a sexually transmitted disease. They have chlamydia, and which makes them infertile in many cases. So they're already a species that is under a great deal of threat. So while the bushfires weren't the complete nail in the coffin for them, we do estimate that apparently between about a quarter and a half of the koala population perished in those bushfires. And most sadly, there was one population of koalas that existed off the mainland on Kangaroo Island, and they lost 30,000 koalas in the bushfires. So that was a huge big blow for us, because they actually were a chlamydia-free population, and so we're kind of really good breeding stock for elsewhere in terms of koala recovery. But the good news is that I guess partly due to the enormous interest of people around the world in our koalas, our Queensland government, which is our state government, recently announced in February that they were going to purchase 500 million hectares, I think, of forest to protect the koala populations, and they're also going to bring in some stronger planning legislation to help protect them from development. So that's been a really exciting kind of news for people to share. So hopefully, I guess it's just a wait and see game. But yeah, it's been a difficult issue to resolve. And I guess, koalas are really cute and they're really cuddly, and they are a threatened species. But not all threatened species are cute and cuddly. And so I thought today I might introduce you to two of the threatened species that live in our particular reserve here. And they're probably not really cute and cuddly. So anyway, I'll introduce you to them. So the first one is the Richmond Birdwing Butterfly. So you can see it's not actually this big. It is one of the biggest butterflies in Australia. This is the male one. And it's not this big, but it is this big. So this is a female Richmond Birdwing Butterfly here. So you can see the males are very, very striking. They have this iridescent sort of green colour that is absolutely mesmerising when you see it flying around in the forest. And both of them have quite, I don't know if you can quite see, maybe it's not coming through. Actually, I'm going to show you on this picture because it's a little bit clearer. They have a very bright red spot here, and they're very brightly coloured. And that's actually a protective mechanism that helps birds kind of don't really like them because they're actually quite toxic. Now, they used to be really, really commonly found around southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. And about the 1920s, late 1920s, people suddenly realised that they were disappearing. And the reason that they were disappearing was that they are incredibly fussy eaters. So they eat this vine. This is the only thing really that they eat, and this is the Parastolochia pravinosa, which is also called the Richmond Birdwing Butterfly vine. And the caterpillars only eat that vine. And so this vine, unfortunately, only grows in rainforests. And at that time in the 1920s, people were clearing rainforests left, right, and centre because that was where all of the good farming land was. And so by 1930, people realised that there were hardly any of these beautiful butterflies left. And in 1992, they were listed as a vulnerable species and a critical priority species for recovery. And this particular vine, it's really interesting because one of the other issues, so not only is their vine being cut down and being lost in rainforests, but there's another vine that people brought in, which is actually a relative of the pravinosa. And this comes from elsewhere in the world, but it's got this beautiful trumpet flower. And sadly, it's a cousin of the pravinosa, and the Richmond birdwing butterfly also it's tricked into laying its eggs on this species, but the leaves are actually toxic to the caterpillars. So when they hatch and they start munching on the leaves, they actually die. And so the prevalence of people planting this in their gardens is a beautiful plant, and as well as the destruction of their own pravinosa plant has led to decrease in population in the Richmond birdwing. So that's kind of really sad. And the other interesting thing is that both of these vines are slightly toxic. However, the Richmond birdwing butterfly has co-evolved with this vine here, and so it actually absorbs some of the toxins into its own body, and that's what makes it a little bit, it's a protective mechanism against predators. So because it didn't evolve with the Dutchman's pipe, it just poisoned the butterfly. So in our reserve, we've been working really, really hard. We've planted loads of the pravinosa vines to provide habitat for the Richmond birdwing butterfly. And there's a huge conservation program that happens all around Queensland to try and re-establish these particular vines, and also to get rid of the Dutchman's pipe and replace them with the Richmond birdwing butterfly vine. So and it's really important, particularly it's great in the fact that we have some happening in the rainforest, but it's really important to connect all of these places together. So lots of local landholders are also planting this vine too, so that we can connect those isolated populations before. The other species that I'd like to introduce you to is a really, really special one. This is actually its home, and it's actually a trapdoor spider. So I don't know if you can see there, but that's its home. And this species is really, really, really special for us because it was only just discovered recently, just last year. So it's been named after our reserve. So it's called Euplus thynarium. So the Thyn sisters were the people who donated this reserve to local council in 1941. And it's a really amazing species. We don't know a huge amount about it yet because it's only recently been named. We did know that it existed here, but we thought it was a different species. And then we just had some PhD researchers undertake some research, and they've found that it's actually a whole different new species. And these trapdoor spiders live for about 25 years. So the mother species, it's an ancient spider species. So they're not very well adapted to, they don't have the same sort of lung system or breathing tubes that other species have, so they don't move very far. So the little baby spiders, when they hatch, they come out of the trapdoor, and they only move like up to maybe 30 centimeters away from their mum's home, and they build their own little burrow, and they spend their whole entire life living inside that burrow. They never come out. In fact, if they were to come out, they would find it very hard to actually get back into the burrow, and then they would die, because the burrow provides a humidity controlled environment for the spiders to survive. And yeah, so we don't really know a huge amount about it. They do have this really strange tendency to build a little moss garden on the lid. We don't know why, but it seems that they kind of cultivate that. And yeah, so we're not really sure why. It may provide camouflage for it, or it may actually provide, you know, some sort of assistance in regulating the humidity. So yeah, so that's that really amazing little spider. So yeah, the Mary Cairncross Palisade Trapdoor Spider. So it's a pretty amazing thing. And it only actually lives in this reserve. It's the only place that it lives in the whole world. And so I guess it's not actually listed yet because it's only just been discovered. But if this reserve wasn't here, we would never have even known that we had lost that spider. We would never have known that it actually existed. So it just goes to show how important, you know, reserves like this are in protecting those threatened species that are only just hanging in there, and even the ones that we don't even know exist. We've never actually done a entomology survey in the reserve yet. We've got one planned for next year, but they're fundamentally important and significant places for those species. So yeah.
We have some questions for you that are coming in.
Yes.
Linda is asking if the butterflies that you showed come in different colors.
No, they don't. There are a variety of other different birdwing butterflies. But so there is one that lives up in Cairns, much further north, and there's some that live in Papua New Guinea. But these ones are yeah, just this colour. So that's the male, and the female is this sort of this sort of browny creamy colour. So no, just that colour.
And then another question is, do these spiders actually make the trapdoor?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I should have said that. Yeah, great question. So when the tiny little
trapdoor.
Yeah, so when they leave the mother's nest or the mother's trapdoor, they create a very small little burrow, and they extend it every year. And so they build it out of web. It's made from web that's got you know, like dirt and everything bound into it. And every year, as they get bigger, they make it bigger. And so sometimes some scientists have said you can actually tell the age of them by the concentric circles and the size of the burrow. So so that's an awesome question. So yeah, and they don't come out, they stay there, except for the males. When they're about 5 years old, they leave their burrow, and it's a suicide mission because they can't get back in. And they go it's a one-way ticket.
Great. Wow, that is fascinating. Thank you so much for that.
Those are amazing examples. Those are amazing examples of a species that need our help. And I think it's really, really important for people to understand that not only species like koala bears and polar bears and all of these really mega vertebrates that we always think about when we think about endangered species, but there's many other species, you know, like the trapdoor spider. And plants too, plants are endangered. And so I think that is what is important for everybody to understand. And when you talked about the butterfly, the caterpillar needing only one species of plant, and how that connection to these animals are super important. And so not only when we protect endangered species, we have to protect not only the species, but the habitat around that species. And I think that's so important to us. I was doing some research, and according to the IUCN, which is the global listing for endangered species, they say 27% of the assessed species are actually considered to be endangered and needing our help. And that's a lot of species that are going to be needing our help. And I think that's important for us to know. You know, we've talked about the fact that this trapdoor spider, that it was only discovered last year, and that we're still learning about animals that we didn't know about. Those are amazing, Dr. Ryan, to learn about those species that I wasn't aware of here in the States.
Yeah, it is amazing, and it just goes to show just how important it is to do research and to find out what these species are before they, you know, disappear. Because, you know, it's only when you know that they exist that you can start putting in mechanisms to try and protect them and care for them so that they can survive into the future.
So it looks like we have another question asking about, are you studying the new species? So is there being research done?
Yeah, absolutely. That's another great question. Yeah, so we've actually, the PhD student and Dr. Michael Ricks from the Queensland Museum, who've been doing this particular research just recently, we're working with them on some research to find out a little bit more about the life history of these species. Like, for example, we don't know how well distributed they are in the reserve. You know, we don't know how common they are. We do know that this is the only place that they exist, but we don't know their numbers in the reserve. So we will be doing some work with them, and we will be doing an entomology BioBlitz next year too, to find out, are there other, you know, insects perhaps that exist in the reserve that we don't know anything about. So yeah, so undertaking that ongoing research is really, really important. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Ryan, I want to thank you very much. I know you got up really early. I think 5 o'clock in the morning is what you told me. Get you some coffee now. It's time to get to work. Us, on the other hand, we're going to be going home and get ready for our dinner. Thank you very much for spending some time with us. And I think this was awesome to learn about these species in Australia.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to share some of our incredible species with you all around the world.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, we talked about endangered species, and every single one of these species are so important. You know, we talked about a lot of them are on a decline, but the one thing I want everybody to know is that we have many species that through the Endangered Species Act, we have been able to save. So the bald eagle, in the 1960s, the bald eagles numbers were as low as 480 animals within the 48 lower states, and now they number up to 14,000 nesting pairs. The American alligator, same thing. You know, back in 1950s, they were near extinction, and now they're up to 5 million. So us being able to work with these species and studying them and protecting the habitats, we will continue to improve and make these species better as time goes on. Well, that's all for the endangered species this week, but guess what? We're going to be back next week. And next week, we're talking about adaptations, talking about all of these cool adaptations, like giraffes having a long neck so they can eat the leaves in the trees, to all the things like the trapdoor spider and how they make their trapdoor. That's an adaptation that they've learned. And we're going to have an owl as a visitor. So next week, we're excited. Thank you very much for coming, whether it's the evening or the morning. Thank you very much. See ya.
Yeah, thank you.